Greetings on behalf of the Troup County School System. My name is Tina Duckett and I am the Director of Public Relations. And you are watching Spotlight on Education. This show is designed to bring you information about our school system, our wonderful staff, students, and programs. Today we have in the studio with us Dr. Jeffrey Turner, Director of Transportation for the Troup County School System, and we're so delighted that he is here. Again, this is a great forum to learn more about our schools. Thank you for joining me today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Turner, and if I may, I'll call you Dr. Jeffrey, is that okay?
That's fine.
We're so glad you're here, and your department plays an extremely vital role in children getting to and from school safely.
Yes, ma'am.
When we're talking about transportation. So let's go into it, but I just provide an overview for our audience about what the task of your department, the focus.
Our focus is safety. Our focus is to provide the safest and most efficient transportation for all our students in Troup County to and from school.
Okay.
We have about 200 employees in the transportation department.
200?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
We have 170 buses in our fleet. We roughly transport about 63 to 65% of our students, which is a little over 8,000 students every morning and every afternoon.
Okay, okay. And you all also provide transportation for extracurricular activities,
We do.
Is that correct?
We do, for our field trips, our athletic programs, our competitive events, that we do provide transportation for that as well.
Okay. Now, tell me, what is the average age of the buses in our fleet?
The average age is roughly around 8 to 9 years old.
Okay. Okay, and what would you say how does that compare to the states?
That's probably average with the state. Bus fleets across the state is getting older, just generally because of budget cuts and crunches that we're seeing across the state. Fortunately, in Troup County, we have the SPLOST that helps us purchase buses, along with keeping our facilities up to speed and so forth. But it allows us to purchase buses to replace the older ones that we need to recycle or retire out of the fleet.
Okay, and we, of course, want our children safe on those buses, and
Yes.
we want the best possible vehicles available to transport them. So tell us more about the safety aspect. You mentioned that earlier. I know that there is an annual safety inspection. Is that conducted by the state?
Yes, it is. It's conducted annually by the state. Ours is generally in February. We have been real fortunate. The last few years, we run the buses through the annual inspection. They do a bumper-to-bumper check.
Okay.
First-time passing rate is right around 96, 97%, which basically means we have about 3 or 4 buses that when they go through the first time, might be a light out or something very minor. We turn around, fix those, send them back through, and they pass.
And that's pretty good in comparison to
It's very good.
some other districts. What were you, we talked a little bit before. Tell me about other instances you've heard of.
Just heard recently at a director's meeting, a neighboring county had 87 buses not pass their inspection.
Wow.
So we are very fortunate. We got a great staff in the shop that truly care about the safety and the operations of the buses, and they do a great job in keeping those buses running at top notch.
Okay. Now, and I know that you said 8 years old. How often should one replace a bus?
The 72 passengers, your traditional school bus, the lifespan is expected to be about 10 years.
Okay.
And of course, with again the budget crunch, and we're able to keep those buses rolling more about 15 or so years.
Okay. So we extend the life.
We extend the life of the
extend
buses.
the
Exactly.
life of the buses.
Right.
But I know at a recent board meeting, discussion about purchasing new buses came about, and it was a part of the agenda. How are we able to do that here in Troup County?
Fortunately, the state has bonded some money to help pay for some of the buses, not all the total cost of a bus. And again, fortunately, through SPLOST, we're allowed or able to purchase new buses to keep our bus fleet as new as we can.
Okay, so SPLOST funds and some funds from the state
Yes.
make it possible for us here in Troup County to have newer buses and safer buses for our children.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Tell us some of the features of the newer buses versus some of the older ones.
The newer buses, a little bit more aerodynamic, more efficient, they're more computerized now, just like the cars.
Vehicles, yeah.
So they are a little bit more difficult to work on and maintain because you have to have better training, better mechanics that understand the computers and know how to diagnose certain aspects. But there's safety features. The bus is the safest form of transportation on the road. It's built for safety. It sits up higher. We've had, unfortunately, a couple of accidents, but none of the students were hurt because of the safety features that are built into the buses.
We're blessed and fortunate
Yes.
for that reason. I know we don't want any of our children in any type of accident, but to know that those buses are designed with those safety features built in,
yes, ma'am,
is good to know.
Yes.
Now, talk about National Bus Safety Week, which took place the 3rd week of October. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did you all observe that as a department?
We recognized drivers. We recognized 7 drivers at the board meeting who had over 25 years of experience. We had 2 drivers that actually has 35 years experience.
With the Troup County Schools?
With Troup County Schools.
That is a long time.
It is a long time.
Driving buses.
It
and
is.
Hats off to each of our
Yes.
bus drivers and even our mechanics that help to
Yes.
keep the buses operable, because it's a tough job.
It is a very tough job, a very stressful job. Every morning and afternoon we have 125 buses out rolling full of students. We also, all the schools were able to pull in the drivers to the schools and gave them little goodie bags and little thank yous and so forth. So it was a good time last week to celebrate the driver and recognize them for the job they do day in and day out, every morning and every afternoon.
And so we send a special thank you to our bus
Yes.
drivers for their commitment, their dedication, and the hard work that they give each day
Right.
to helping make sure our
Right.
students are safe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And I would also add too to our monitors. We have several monitors that ride buses
please.
that are there every morning, there afternoon, helping the driver keep an eye on things on the bus, because as you know, drivers are having to look forward, look at the road, but also monitor the kids behind them. So.
And I know, just as a parent, and when you have children in the back seat of a vehicle, sometimes
it can be difficult.
Yes.
Right.
So we are grateful that they're able to concentrate on the road and still
Yes.
handle situations as they occur on the bus, and thanks to those monitors as well. Tell our parents what you want them to know about how they can help us maintain safety measures for our students.
Again, safety is so important. At the bus stop, in the mornings before the bus gets there, we need parents there helping to monitor students at the bus stop. If they don't need to be horse playing or chasing each other, if they run out into the road, or there's so many things that can happen. So we ask that parents be very mindful in helping us in the mornings at bus stops, and also in the afternoon. When we're dropping students off, eight and under students, we have to have a parent there to receive the children.
So if they're age 8 and younger, and
yes.
then the parent must be there.
Yes, and if we don't have a parent there, then the bus driver will have to take the student back to school.
Okay.
Because again, 8 and under, especially the little ones, pre-K, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, we need somebody there to receive the children. Yes.
And that's important.
Very important, because we don't want a child lost. We don't want a 4-year-old doesn't understand the dangers of vehicles in the road. So very important.
Right, or wandering and
Wandering
thinking
off.
they can just walk and end up lost.
Exactly.
We don't want that
Right.
at all. Okay, so what about stop arm violations? Let's talk about that and other vehicles, because some people just don't understand the rules of the road when you see a bus.
A lot of people don't truly understand that when that stop arm is out, the stop sign is out, that they have to stop. That bus has the authority to stop all traffic. Anytime that somebody runs a stop arm, there's a chance that a child could be struck, or and obviously we want to avoid that. Mm-hmm. So yes, the only time that a vehicle does not have to stop is if they're traveling in the opposite direction, and it is a divided highway by a grass median or a concrete barrier, they just need to slow down and use caution. But any other time, the vehicles have to stop when that stop arm is out. We do have a couple of areas that we're working with the State Patrol that are kind of a high where it happens a good bit, and they've been very supportive, very helpful, and working with us and trying to get those numbers down of the drive-bys.
And that's important for our community at large, again, because
Yes.
we want to stay conscious of those rules of the road and
Yes.
and make sure that our children are safe. And you mentioned something earlier about, and I'm going to go back just a minute here, if you
Okay.
don't mind, to talk about the newer buses. I meant to ask you about the professional learning or development to make sure that our bus drivers and our mechanics have the skills that they need to work on those buses. In your department, do you offer that opportunity, or how do they maintain their skills?
That's a good question, and we offer training for our bus drivers.
Okay.
We have monthly training, and then we have training about every other month for defensive driving, student management, different topics. We have a training coming up actually today and tomorrow about defensive driving.
Okay.
So we do offer training. If anybody's interested in being a bus driver, we do offer.
Yes, please share that information.
That
with
is
our
probably our biggest challenge right now, is having enough qualified bus drivers every day to meet the challenges of transporting the students. We do offer training to get your CDL license to be able to drive a bus. We walk you through those steps. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks from start to finish.
Okay.
And currently we have open positions for bus drivers.
Is there a cost involved for the training?
There is no cost involved in the training. We
Okay.
offer that as a service to train the drivers.
Potential. So who can they call if they're looking for information?
They can call the transportation office. That is 706-812-7935.
Okay.
They can come by and fill out an application and submit that, and then we will start that process.
Okay, well, thank you again,
Well,
Dr.
thank you.
Turner,
My pleasure.
for joining me today.
Enjoyed it.
And we want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Spotlight on Education, and I'm Tina Duckett, your host. I've had the privilege of speaking with Dr. Jeffrey Turner, Department Director for Transportation, the Troup County Schools. And now I have with me Miss Linda Carpenter, and she is with our Health Services Department. Thank you, Miss Linda, for being here today. And I know that your department serves a very important role to our children and our schools. So why don't we just get right into it, and you tell us your focus and some of the things that your department does as health services.
Well, health services is about our nurses and taking care of our children at school.
Okay.
Our main focus is to make sure that we maintain a healthy health status for our children, and that encompasses making sure that, when a child comes to school, that they are not having any problems. A lot of times that they do. We want to make sure that we identify illnesses. We want to make sure that a healthy student, when they come to school, they learn better. They cannot learn if they don't feel good.
Right.
We do a lot as far as triage illnesses. We give medications. We assist our diabetics. We have tube feedings. We do a lot of things at school, but the main thing is to maintain a healthy health status and help the parents identify illnesses. A lot of times parents do not realize that this could be a potential problem, and a lot of times when they come in and we see something, we can call the parent and say, look, you better take them or we recommend that you take them to the doctor, because we see something that the parents don't see that could be further on down the road.
And could be prevented if
Could
treated
be
early.
prevented, that's right, that's right.
Okay, so I think it's important for our viewers to learn more about the actual nurses who are on our campuses from day to day. Can you tell us just your backgrounds, because I know it varies?
We have actually 11 nurses for Troup County School System. We have 2 LPNs and 9 RNs, and we each have 2 schools, and that depends on the needs of the school, the health needs, because a lot of times one school might have a whole lot more health needs than the other. So we kind of just go by population and what's there, and based on the health history that we have of those students.
Okay, so and as a parent, I just want to say thank you for identifying and working daily to identify some of the health needs of the students and helping to prevent, you know, those colds and flu and all of those things that we can face. And speaking of flu, I know that flu season is upon us.
It is.
And so what are some of the signs and symptoms?
Well, let me tell you that flu season is upon us. We have actually, it starts in October, it peaks in February, and it can actually go until May.
Wow.
So,
wow, okay.
There's about 200,000 cases of flu a year, 20% of the population, and a lot of it is more geared to, we see a lot of it in the younger children and the older population. And it's more severe in the older population than it is in our senior population and the younger children.
Okay, so what can we do to help prevent? What are some preventative measures we can take?
First of all, we have to identify what the symptoms are. And the symptoms are usually sore throat, headache, low-grade temperature, cough, things like that. And most of all, what I usually hear from a lot of our students is, I just feel really, really tired. Fatigue, the muscle aches. You know, you just feel like you just want to go crawl in the bed and just not come out. That's what I hear from a lot of our patients and students.
Okay, so again, after we've identified some of the signs and symptoms, what can we do to help prevent?
The first thing is to be vaccinated.
Okay.
Any child over the age of 6 months can be vaccinated from the flu vaccine, for the flu vaccine. The other thing is washing hands. That is the big thing, is to wash our hands. Avoid contact with people that are sick. The other thing is avoid contact with, when you have, be sure and wipe your areas down to where you don't come in contact with someone that has had the flu, that has touched. Be sure and cover your mouth, cover your nose. Things like that will help prevent transmission, because it is contagious.
And then not coughing or sneezing into your hands, but rather...
Right. And that's one thing I tell our children, because you know, everyone, that's our first, is to cough in our hands, but they need to cough in the crease of their, right here in their arm, and that helps avoid transmission, because you think about it, you cough in your hands, and then you touch something, and then someone else touches
light
it.
Switches.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so pertussis, and I didn't know too much about that until I joined the school system and would hear of maybe cases surfacing in different places. So tell us about pertussis.
Okay.
Also known as the
100-day cough.
Okay.
It's known as the 100-day cough. Pertussis is a bacterial respiratory infection that is caused by the Bordetella bacteria, and it actually comes in 3 stages. It starts as kind of like flu symptoms: sore throat, low-grade fever, cough, a very mild cough, and then it actually goes to the 2nd stage, which is the cough becomes more pronounced. And then the 3rd stage is where you actually get into the whooping cough. And it can last anywhere, like we said, it's known as a 100-day cough.
Wow.
And it is treated with antibiotics. But we do have vaccines for it, and that's one of the, you know, the DTaP and the Tdap are 2 of the vaccines that we have for pertussis. And we don't see near as much as we used to. We do have outbreaks now and then, but not anything like we used to.
Okay, so we're talking about the flu, pertussis, which is also known as the 100-day cough, or the whooping cough. So where's the common cold in the midst of all of this? How, and maybe you can speak to this, the difference
Okay.
when you're talking flu and just your common cold?
Common cold is, they're both respiratory viruses, but the thing with the flu and the common cold is that the flu usually is more severe than the common cold. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell the difference between the two because we start out the same. But usually the flu is more severe and the cold is a little bit milder, doesn't last as long. But they both start out the same, so it's very difficult sometimes
And you can
to
have
tell.
fever with
Right.
both, can't you?
Right, you can. You
Okay.
can.
And what are the same preventative measures for common
Washing
cold?
hands, using a tissue, and watch where you throw your tissue. Be sure and put it in the trash. And most of all, with anything is hand washing. Be sure and wash your hands.
Okay, now, and we've heard this before. I'm sure I speak on behalf of several of our viewers when we say that we've heard to sing the birthday song when you're washing your hands. That's what, 15 or 20 seconds?
20
or so?
seconds.
Does it really matter?
It does, because what it does is you're actually scrubbing some of those germs off. If you just rinse your hands, you're not really getting down to the germs that are in your hands. Sing happy birthday when we teach. We teach hand washing to first graders in
Yes.
elementary school. And we really try to get them to watch their parents. One of the things that I do is tell them, watch your parents at night and see how long they're washing their hands. And they come in and say, my mom didn't wash her hands as much as she needed to. So yeah, the birthday song is great. That's a good identifier for them to sing, and they can sing it in the back of their head and wash their hands.
Okay.
Works out really well.
And what other recommendations would you offer parents in these winter months just to help them keep their children healthy?
Okay. Well, one of the things that we say is do not send your children to school when they are sick. We see sometimes students come to school and they're running a fever. We recommend that the student stays home, and they need to be without fever for 24 hours. The other thing is, good hand washing. Be sure and take your child to the doctor if you do think they are sick. Things like that. Just be sure that they are able to identify that they have an illness, and we can take care of it. As far as, we hate to send them home once they come to school, but the best thing is to keep them at home when they are sick.
Because many times, do you find that once a student is not feeling well, it doesn't get better at school? You end up
it usually
calling
gets
the
worse.
parent anyway, or
It usually gets worse, and they can't concentrate if they're not feeling well, and they can't, especially if it's a day where they really need to have it. They have a test or something like that. It's very difficult for them to concentrate and to maintain what they need to do in that classroom. And the other thing is they're passing it to everybody else if they're not feeling good.
right? And then you'll have several students out versus just treating that one child before it spreads.
Exactly.
So that's important. And with your department, I know that Health Services, you focus on different campaigns, awareness campaigns that are national campaigns, and so why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I want to talk about the one at the end of November, which is the Family Day.
Okay.
There is a Family Day. I think it's the Family Week, 24th through the 30th.
Yes.
And one of the things I like to focus on is to tell the parents to get out, spend time with their children. All of our children are inside with their computers and their phones. Fresh air, get out and ride bikes with your children. Spend some time outside, playing outside like when we used to when we were little. It's good. It's good to get the fresh air. It's good to be outside. Eating healthy. Having a family time, a dinner with your children is very, very important. Eating healthy as far as the food groups that we have, that you can go online and you can look at what they are and get some different recipes. And the other thing too is to have the children stay away from soda and drink more water. We have a lot of students that drink a lot of soda, and I try to tell them, drink water. 8 glasses of water a day is what's recommended. It's very, very good for you, and it's recommended. It's just rehydrates your body. And a lot of times I have students that come in with headaches, and I say, have you drinking water? No, I haven't drinking any water. But it's very, very important for them to drink water, for all of us to drink water.
I agree, and I know this is just a question that we have not discussed, but Dehydration. What are some of the signs and symptoms of dehydration? Because a lot of times, back to your point, if we're drinking sodas and even juice, some juices, but not getting enough water, that still has an effect on the body. So
a lot of times, once you get the symptoms of dehydration, you're already to that point where you are dehydrated. What I tell our students, especially when we have field days, you need to start drinking a couple days before. Because once you start getting those symptoms such as leg cramps, headaches, just not feeling well, feeling of tiredness, you really are at that part where you're starting to get dehydrated already. So recommendation is to drink before, drink water 8 glasses a day, and I have actually given some of our students a test to see if they would do that, and they came in and they told me, especially the middle schoolers, I said try it for a week and don't drink any soda and just drink water, and they came in and they said they felt so much better. Their mind was clear, they could concentrate better, and it works out well for them.
Well, that's great advice, and we appreciate you joining us today
Thank
on
you.
Spotlight on Education. If someone wants to learn more about health services, who should they contact?
Well, actually, you can go to the Troup County School System website, and you can go into the parent block and click on nurses. You can click on school nurses, and there you can find all of us listed and our phone numbers and our schools. And you can call us anytime. Email addresses are there as well. If you have any questions or concern, please get in touch with us. We are so happy to help you. One of the best things that is good for us is communication with the parents. And that's how we want to communicate with you. Anytime, call us during the day.
Okay, thank you again
Thank you
for
so
joining
much.
us. And to our viewers today, thank you for tuning in. This has been Spotlight on Education. Until next time, make sure you have a great day.